The other day I was on a ride and I came across a rider in distress. She flattened her tire and didn't have a spare tube. So I thought, great, I'll go ahead and lend a little bit of help, maybe get myself some trail karma. You never know when you might want to cash that back in. So I grabbed my tube, I grabbed my small pump out of my bag, decide, okay, let's go ahead and help her out. And because she was running tubeless, I thought, okay, well maybe we can just pump it up and see if we can get the thing to seal up, and then she'll just be on her way. And I started pumping and pumping, and turns out there was a small tear on the sidewall just above the rim. I didn't have my tire plugs with me, so I got my tube, threw that in, started pumping it up, and my tube is bad. So I pull it out, and sure enough, the tube that I've been carrying around for probably 2.5 years on this bike is bad, and it may have been bad the whole time. I don't even know. So I've been riding around thinking that I was completely prepared and feeling pretty smug about it. Like, oh, I've got a tire pump, I've got a tube, what could possibly go wrong? So it started making me realize when I downsized from this orange backpack, which I carried for the longest time, down to this Dakine, it's the 5-liter Hot Laps hip pack, I had to make some choices. So I made some what I thought were, you know, judicious decisions of things that I would be forced to leave out. Do a good inventory, check your tubes. If you've got CO2, make sure that they're still good. If you have CO2, make sure you know how to use it. I stopped carrying CO2 cartridges because I kept messing them up. I would attach the nozzle and I would try to put it on and I would blow through an entire tube, and I'm like, crap, I've got 2 tubes with me. I just blew one because I'm an idiot, and I didn't trust myself to not be an idiot half the time. So I started carrying a small hand pump, and I'll show you that in a second. That was my choice of, I know that if I have a small hand pump, I will always at least have some air. So let me just show you what I came up with. I designed a tool roll that can attach to these straps that go underneath that help snug the pack up. The nice thing about these straps is when you loosen them, you can very easily detach them from the bag. And they do this so you can attach something underneath, like, you know, if you have a raincoat or a shell, or, you know, maybe you want to stick your knee pads under here, you can kind of do that and get it off pretty easily. And what I did was I made this tool roll with some straps so that I could run the straps for the pack through it, and when I need to, I can just remove it from the bag. So let me show you what I carry in here that frees up space for this. What it is, I just took some, anybody who has watched a bunch of my videos knows I've got a sewing machine and I'm not afraid to use it. So I have a lot of things like these mil-spec nylon straps, 1-inch webbing. I've got a lot of these little tri-glides and clips from different projects. And when I retire an old backpack, I'll go through and I'll steal all the buckles and straps from it because I use them for projects like this. So this is just a pouch. And you can see it's got the straps sewn down. I sewed these on the back side with the thoughts, since it matches up with these loops they have on the back here, that maybe if I could strap it on, but I didn't like it because it kind of fell down, and having it underneath, you don't even feel it, and it keeps the weight close to your body, and there's just not much to it. So in this, I will carry all the bits and pieces in a Ziploc bag, and then in the bottom I have my mini pump, and the pump's got a little bit of Gorilla Tape on the outside, just because it comes in handy for things like, you know, you break a spoke, you can kind of wrap it up with this. If you've got rattling cables, you can kind of quiet them down for the ride till you get home. So this is it. Between this is the stuff A lot of this I wasn't bringing, and I realized it doesn't take up much space and it's important to have. And let me explain why. So, I always carry a chain breaker, but what I didn't realize is if you've got master links, and I've got a couple of those, I've got some 11 and 12 speed links because I've got a bike with a 11 speed and one with a 12 speed. Trying to get these to disconnect without one of them sets of pliers, which I don't own, is downright impossible. So if you're breaking your chain and you want to get this thing removed, it's difficult. So I brought my shop chain breaker, which is just a piece of string that you kind of thread it down through the links, cross them like this, then you pull it really tight, and that brings the links together, and you can go ahead and break them in the field. Obviously, this takes up no space. So, in addition to my tube, which I've now checked and I've replaced it with one that works, some of the other things that I wish I'd had were a Tyre Plug Kit. Just a couple little bacon strips and a very small little plug to get them in. And I almost always have a little pocket knife with me. When I ride though, I don't. So in addition to my normal multi-tool, which fits in this little side pocket, which is great, I needed something to cut things. So I carried this in my old tool roll. So it comes in handy because it's got a little pair of scissors on it. It's got a little set of tweezers. So if you end up getting a tick on you or something like that. So these can come in handy out on the trail. Something I also used to carry, and I wasn't carrying until now, is I have a couple of these tire boots, which come in handy if you've got a slash in your tire. You put a tube in, but the tube's gonna blow out through that split. So you put this between the tube and the tire, and it will hopefully hold. Something else that I carried before, which I wasn't, is a backup to a tube, and this probably could have helped too. This is a small piece of Gorilla Tape's all-weather seal, and I'll include a link to this. I got it at Home Depot. It comes in, it's a 4-inch wide roll, and it's about, I think, 10 feet long. So it's super rubbery, really sticky, and with this, I could have cut a small piece and dried off the inside of that tire and patched on the inside, and maybe gotten that to seal up without having to put a tube in. So this is good for patching the inside of a tire. It's also good for patching the outside of a tube. If you put a tube in, the tube is bad, and now you got to fix the tube. So this is my tire and tube repair kit. Also, something that can quite often break on the trail is you might just snap off the end of your valve core stem. So I'll carry an extra one of these and the valve core remover. Of course, zip ties are always good, and if you can find one, an extra derailleur hanger might save the day. The other thing that I carry, which after a ride on a rental bike and I lost a bolt, I started doing this. I've got a handful of various M3, 4, and 5 bolts with different thread pitches, and a handful of nuts. So if you end up losing a bolt, like say on a shifter lever or something like that, it's generally going to be something on your handlebars where you're going to lose a bolt for some kind. One of these will probably fix it and at least get you home. Just like in backpacking, my pack loadout is always evolving, and generally it changes when I realize something that I have forgotten or a piece that I've brought which failed. So if you have any suggestions of things that I didn't mention that you bring that you think are pretty important, please let us know down in the description. That way we can all learn and hopefully be safer on the trail. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're like me and just refuse to act your age, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.